And welcome back, everyone, to another episode of DeathStryke Media's Force Friday show. It's Friday. We're talking Star Wars. My name is James Waddington, and I'm joined by Sean Sharp.
Thank you. Last name returned.
Last name returned. It's like The Empire Strikes Back, but, last names.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, have you been this last week?
Not bad. Of course, here in the center of the known universe, Texas.
Yeah.
The second best podcast in Texas.
Yep, we are the second best.
Yeah. So, hey, everything else pales by comparison.
Good. Yeah. That's good. As it should. If you're the first-time viewer here, how the show works is we have a couple of Star Wars stories that we're going to talk about, and we're going to have some fun along the way. Alrighty. Up first, we have news that Jimmy V has actually been formally announced as the new R2-D2, taking over from Kenny Baker, who passed away.
Right. Rest in peace.
Rest in peace, Kenny Baker. Now, with that being said, I think Star Wars has always had that charm of its droids. You have, C-3PO with Anthony Daniels. Of course, you had Kenny Baker, and then you had Alan Tudyk.
Mm.
Why do you? Most recently as a K2SO. Why do you think Lucasfilm always goes with people inside of their droids? Is that to make them more human, you think?
I think that's a really great point because we have a lot of conflicting things going on. Well, number one, they went with humans because they didn't have the technology we have now.
Also true.
That, like with BB-8.
Mm-hmm.
But it's also the fact that we are dealing with a whole world where you have a lot of outfits that are dehumanizing. You have the Stormtrooper / Clone Trooper armor, Darth Vader's mask, uniforms in general. So the big question is, how do you take the human story and keep it human? Yes, these creatures are not human.
Nope.
But how do they emote on the human level? And I think by having human actors add their own idiosyncrasies and improv with, like Mr. Tudyk.
Yeah, very good example. If with his other work, he's speaking of Alan Tudyk, with his other work he's done with iRobot, because he was Sonny in iRobot.
Exactly.
Phenomenal. Like you naturally just go, I can identify with this inanimate object that is a robot or a droid. That's phenomenal.
Now, not to take anything away from people who do computer animation or graphics
not
or
at all.
that nature, but normally they're so focused on trying to get the capture down, they still rely upon actors with like motion capture on their face, like a la The Incredibles.
The Incredibles, and then of course you have like the king of motion capture. Come on, what's his name? Andy Serkis.
Right.
Yeah.
So they're still relying upon that human interaction. So I think it's still a good idea to have a human element, even though you can't see, and even though you're supposed to know they're not human.
Right.
Because they're just the little things that we will pick up subconsciously to convey the story. Yeah,
you have all the little, I guess, voice capture of not Kenny Baker, C-3PO.
C-3PO Daniels.
Anthony Daniels. You'll have his voice kind of gets fed into C-3PO, not only just for his voice, but his like form, how he talks, how he handles himself. I think it's great. Like, as soon as I watched Star Wars for the first time, it's like C-3PO was more than just a droid to me. He was another person, like, within the realm of Star Wars. Like, I didn't even consider him like a robot or a droid, even though like he gets ripped apart nonstop. But you kind of identify with the droids more often than not in Star Wars, which is really, really cool.
Well, it was kind of like, just for the record, the droids annoyed parents the same way Jar Jar Binks annoyed a lot of people.
That's true.
In A New Hope and in Empire. Mm-hmm. But the thing is, they were so humanized in their characters, especially the way they portrayed them, and it made them to where kids knew that they were supposed to be robots, but they still knew these were real people or real creatures. They had sentience. I think that's what I'm trying to convey.
Okay, yeah,
you can get a sense of sentience from them, unlike just some. Robbie the robot.
They pulled that off in The Force Awakens with BB-8 because there's no human inside that little sphere.
Finally, they were able to pull it off.
Right, and funny thing is, BB-8 was like the original design for R2-D2, but they couldn't do it back in 1977. What I think, the sentient thing, I immediately think of BB-8 giving that thumbs up with its torch. I was like, that's it. I can completely identify with this guy. Let's hope no one wipes his memory. Yeah, kind of like R2. Just keep it going.
Just keep it going. Yeah, let it develop.
Yeah, that element of getting attached to a character that's inanimate, it was much the same way as the music in Star Wars. Mm-hmm. And as we just found out from the Grammys, if you're watching the Grammys, John Williams won yet another Grammy for his music, his compositions he does for film. Yet it's been since like 1980 since he's won a Grammy for anything he's done with Star Wars. He picked one up for The Force Awakens.
Well, at this point, it's kind of like the fact that when you see his name on the John Williams, of course. Now, I wonder if he has this many Grammys. What is he using them for? Is it like
paperweights? Same thing.
Door stops.
Yeah.
He can't clean his office.
White elephant gifts. I don't know.
Oh, yeah. I won that in 1974. Yeah, it's got a dent in it. Don't look at it.
You weren't even born yet. Don't worry about it.
Has one in the freezer, one in his liquor cabinet.
Yeah. He just like heats one up and brands steaks with it. Like, this is my Grammy steak.
Yeah. Live the brand.
Yeah. I think within his compositions that he does for film, Star Wars obviously is one of the most iconic that he's done, as long as Indiana Jones and stuff like that. But when he's behind the orchestra and conducting the orchestra, you can almost feel his presence through the music. With that said, do you think that he pours more of himself into like themes for like Luke Skywalker or Rey or like the Imperial March? Do you think that's more of like his inner workings, like how he is as a person?
That's a really tough call, because then you got to wonder about his influence on the Imperial March. He is the autocrat of the dinner table.
I've never met the man, so I kind of hope not. But at the same time, I people say they pour their heart and soul into music, so I wonder how that could translate to him.
It could be very well that. I mean, after all, he does conduct an orchestra,
yes.
which it's a very, very serious, very organized, very
personal, almost
personal, and you have to deal with artistic temperaments, including your own. So maybe the Imperial March is kind of showing his hand.
Maybe so.
But, I'd also say one of the reasons I feel that he's won so many Grammys with attached to the Star Wars franchise is the fact that there's also another element to all Star Wars franchise movies, and that's the environment is also a character. And
absolutely.
The music really pairs with the environment as much with the character.
Yep.
Now, Glass did a really good job with Lord of the Rings.
That was Howard Shore.
Sorry, I was thinking Philip Glass, the other composer. Howard Shore did a really good job with Lord of the Rings, but the environment took a front stage to the music, whereas with Mr. Williams, I think the music is taking a front to the environment.
And I think that's where a lot of people got like they backpedaled a little bit when Rogue One came out. They're like, wait a minute, this music isn't John Williams' music. I don't know what to do about it. I'm not going to like it. If you go back and watch it, the music does have its own unique flavor. That's not exactly Williams, because John Williams didn't compose that one. But getting back to Force Awakens and John Williams actually was announced that he is actually starting the composition for Episode 8, The Last Jedi. Do you think they're going to bring back Luke's theme?
I pondered that, really. The issue is and it just shows the kind of fan or weird geek that I am. It's like, I hope not. And I'm going to defend my position real quickly, is the fact that when the original Luke theme came out, it fit the Luke of the time.
Yeah. So like a new kid, like developing into this hero.
The Hero Quest Luke. This Luke should be different music.
Like a darker tone?
I really think so. With everything that's happened since, his father chucking the Emperor down the well. Don't throw a baby in the well. Things have really changed. Now, a lot of it we don't know about.
Yeah, we're hopefully going to find out.
Hopefully we'll find out. But the Luke on the island really had the weight of years and responsibility on them, and that you're never going to be in that frozen place in time.
Yeah, he had that look when Rey handed him the lightsaber. He was like, "Oh Jesus, not this thing again!"
It's like, I worked so hard
to get rid of that. There was a hand. Did you get the hand?
Look, did you notice? Not matching.
But yeah, I kind of am with you on the making his theme a little, maybe have elements of it,
right?
But definitely have like a darker tone, a more serious tone. Just because, like you said, it's been, I don't know, God knows how many years since we actually saw Luke as Luke on screen versus who he is now. He obviously had a failed student, and Kylo Ren, so that's got to take a toll. And who knows what other Jedi he had to abandon or got killed by Kylo or whatever. Right. So that's definitely got to be a darker feel to his character, and I think music will help portray that. Not only will his presence of grumpiness that we can see on screen, but the tone of the tunes that's going to be behind him.
Now, on that note, the music note going with the character. I know Kylo Ren has, his kind of his own music. I'm curious, just what music would they play if Kylo Ren shows up on the island looking for Luke?
Yeah, well, yeah.
Because I have a gut feeling that's somewhere on the line.
Yeah, there's a strong consensus thinking that Kylo is going to start hunting down Luke, because I think he's going to get some help from Snoke and all that. But yeah, what kind of music would that work? Is
this going to be competing themes like a rap battle?
I don't think Rian Johnson's going to do that. But at the same time, I wouldn't not want to see that. That definitely would be fun to watch.
See it.
Oh yeah, absolutely. That would definitely be a thing to see. Speaking of seeing things, Bob Iger, the guy behind the mouse at Disney, has seen what there is to be seen of Episode 8.
Mm-hmm.
He actually said,
that article.
Yeah, he actually said it was a great chapter, next chapter in the iconic Skywalker saga, and it will be followed up by the Han Solo film, which is just starting production.
Red Cop.
Is that a surprise to you that he's kind of pushing the Han Solo at the tail end? Like he's kind of like, oh, by the way, we're also doing this. Yeah, the Last Jedi is good, but we also have this Han Solo film coming out that you might want to check out.
Well, it's hard to see the inflection of how he said it in the article.
Yeah,
and I'm just throwing that there, but I kind of feel there are two possible outcomes of the way they're handling this.
Yeah,
one is good, of course. Keep the hype going, keep people going, oh yeah, by the way, the
Han Solo film's coming out.
I have to get it out. Does he wear robes behind the scenes? Just do they have mouse ears?
I kind of hope so. Like, yeah. He sits in his office and puts on the mouse ears going, yes, excellent.
But the bad part would be by them talking about it so much, we're kind of, we're in the internet era now.
Yeah, where everything is like everything is looked at, everything is posted.
And a lot of the magic may go away. One of the great things about Star Wars and the gaps between the movies, as short as they were, of course, to me, I thought they were, eons apart.
Yeah, well, we had that stretch of the prequels, and then we left Episode 3, and then we got The Force Awakens. So my generation understands it. There's that weight.
We're not comparing scars here. We're not comparing scars. But it's the issue that the mythos that is created by the fans talking about it,
oh yeah,
I think is more powerful than an executive talking about it. And that's kind of like my old saying of pissing the magic away. Mm-hmm. It's like you're if you get too much technical talk about it or too much releases, then it's like seeing the magician's tricks.
And that's never fun or a good idea because it spoils the whole thing.
Right. Let the magic flow. Let the force flow.
And just let it be.
Let it be.
Don't try to analyze it. Don't try to overthink it. It is what it is.
I think someone probably mentioned to him, and why Han Solo was brought up at the very end is like, oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
You might want to push this other film, too.
Yeah.
Just
billions involved. Billions.
Yeah. The more I read about and think about, I'm kind of growing more to the liking of watching this Han Solo. I mean, I'm gonna watch it anyway, but
oh yeah, who are you lying to?
No, nobody. I wasn't sold on it at first, but now that I'm reading more about it, they're getting more people involved, or they're having more rumors of potential cast members coming in as maybe CGI characters of maybe other aliens. Mm-hmm. I'm like, this could actually be quite good, and maybe have that feel of another like standalone, much like Rogue One did, where it does feel like a standalone story. I'm really looking forward to that.
Well, I'm looking forward to, if they do the CGI aliens, what new aspect of technology we're going to see. LucasArts and the studios that helped produce all his works were always cutting edge. They came up with new sound technology, new lighting techniques, new special effects. Mm-hmm. They were always cutting edge. So when I hear they may do X, it's like, oh, this may be something we've never seen before.
Yeah, I think a lot of fans will actually get a little hesitant, like, oh, they're doing CGI again, not practical effects. But then you look at like Alan Tudyk's K2SO, it was motion capture. It was technically animated, but it had such a human element that it didn't feel like it was a CG character, but it really was.
Right, and it's also, if they can get the same skilled artists.
Yeah, let's just keep all them plugged into Disney for a while.
Yeah, sign the contract, boys. Sign the contract.
Make the money.
Because it was so well done, and then to screw that up in a future project.
Yeah.
And let's be honest, some films have. You can see levels of quality. Mm-hmm. Was this an A team? Was this the B team? Was this the C team?
It's like we have our primary production out this way, then we have our secondary production over here. Oh, who's doing production? I don't really know the B team. Well, let's pump that budget up a little bit.
Yeah, I hope they keep the same creators for it and the same artists for it, because you see a lot of that in European films, mm-hmm. and especially Japanese films. Once the first one's in, then they go, all right, A team's moving on to a next big dollar project. Bring in, who are you again? Oh yeah, you just graduated, right? Yeah,
yeah, you're good. You're good. You got your degree. You're good.
Come on. Yeah, you're cleared. Come on.
And I think I don't think Star Wars can do that. Like Kathleen Kennedy is now like I think the CEO behind all this stuff. And she has such a connection to how George Lucas wanted his story to be told. I don't think they're ever going to move in that direction, have like a lesser director direct the second crew. But going back to Han Solo again, I hope this executes in a darker tone with comedy, but much like K2SO brought the comedy to Rogue One in a more matter of fact sort of way. I think the Han Solo film can do that.
I don't think you can have Han Solo without humor.
Yeah.
I mean,
I'm gonna get dry Solo. I shot first. I'm not talking to Greedo.
That's part of one of his great charms,
Yeah.
He can make a phrase that, even though he's very serious about it, comes off incredibly funny.
Yeah, I kind of want to know what Harrison Ford was said to the FAA investigators that just recently investigated him.
Oh gosh.
Yeah, I could see that whole comment. Maybe he's like playing it off as like a Han, going, "What? Everyone's fine.
Everything's fine. I don't know what you're talking about."
And yeah, that to me is that's gonna be a fun thing to watch. A new generation of Han Solo appear on screen. Maybe hopefully that they can carry that swagger. So.
Oh yeah, that's the big thing. How do you once again, as I described, how do you play the King of Cool in the galaxy?
Mm-hmm. That's gonna be a big shoe to fill.
How do you pull that off? I mean, hats off if he can do it.
Mm-hmm.
Man, I would not want that job.
Nope. Well, something came across my desk that was a potential spoiler, and you'll see a big spoiler alert sign here in just a second. So if you don't want to watch, or you can put it on mute. When you see the spoiler sign, go away. That's when you know the spoiler is over. So it has recently come out that there's a big spoiler alert, spoiler notice, spoiler something, that there's going to be a new planet revealed in Star Wars Episode 8, The Last Jedi. Mm-hmm. And it's being described as kind of like a red Mars with a powdered like coating, but it's like snow. So I keep thinking of like a donut hole with powdered sugar. Mm-hmm. I think it's fascinating that they keep picking like desert plant type planets as new planets in Star Wars. Do you have a theory behind this? Maybe
I have a practical theory.
Go for it.
And then I have a less than practical theory.
I'm good for both.
Okay, the practical theory is production wise, it's a heck of a lot easier.
That's true. I thought about that as well.
Look at Doctor Who quarries. A lot of quarries in Doctor Who's universe.
A lot of train stations.
Star Trek. A lot of rocky planets.
A lot of rocky
planets, But production-wise, but also if you look at it from an actual physical astronomy kind of point of view, there are more desert planets than there are of anything else.
Sure, and my only I guess conception of a habitable planet is Earth. I mean, I haven't lived on any other planet, right. So I got pictures of Mars or other planets within our own solar system that they're just completely.
Then there is
desertous,
the fringe theory.
Okay.
Which is, how long have they been fighting in this galaxy?
A long time.
And you notice they keep coming up with bigger and badder weapons, all with the goal of destroying the whole planet.
Yes.
So maybe this is a remnant for those previous wars, why there's so many desert planets.
Perhaps that I never really gave it that thought, but you're probably right. There's been in Legends there was a ton of wars.
Right.
I mean, I think much like the human race, we have a generational war every generation.
Yeah,
it seems
generation.
Like. So it seems only plausible that happens in the Star Wars universe as well. And I like that theory a lot, actually.
And it also something that was brought up in Clones. There's all these planets they go to that are ruins.
Yep.
Somebody made them ruins. ruins just generally don't happen overnight. Now, there are exceptions. But this seems to be a theme with this galaxy that no matter what alien race it is, or if it is the humans or Corellians or whatever, when they get a weapon, they go for big.
Yeah.
And they go for big usage.
That's true. I think I didn't read a whole lot of the old Legends books that are now what are called Legends now. So I'm only familiar with like the super weapons of like the Death Star, the Death Star 2, and Starkiller Base, as well as the big giant ships and stuff like that. So I can only imagine like the technology previous, like say Old Republic,
right,
or pre Clone Wars, but before but after the Old Republic, like what kind of weapons they made and how big and bad they made them to make other planets desolate.
Just in the old legend lore, the war between the Sith and the original Jedi.
Yeah, that was
they were laying waste to planets back then. So, like I said, how long have they been doing this?
Well, there was that scene in what was it? I think it was Rebels. Yeah, because it had to be Rebels because it was Ezra and Kanan. It was the season 2 finale. I know you're not there. But Kanan and Ezra go to a planet. They fall through the surface, and among the surface and the ruins were a bunch of laid out like old, like I want to say like Old Republic style lightsabers just everywhere. So that had to have been like a Sith Jedi war battle back in the day, and it was very cool to watch. And you'll see it, and you'll be like, "That's right, that's that." Okay, but yes, I love that idea of like constant fighting. There's a fun Doctor Who episode that did that. Like they had this generational war thing where they kept fighting and fighting and fighting. These factions kept fighting and fighting and fighting, and it turned out that because they kept killing each other so often and keep remaking themselves like over and over again, the war was only like 7 days long, but no one's memory went back further than 7 days. Yeah, but the whole planet was basically destroyed.
Wow.
Yeah,
that's kind of
that's a Doctor Who time loop thing.
That's a definite Whovian way to handle.
Yeah,
like,
not that Star Wars would do that because there's definitely a distinct flavor and taste of Doctor Who and Star Wars. So I do like your idea of the different species like wiping out each other, like having constant wars, and that's why every planet's like desolate or desert.
It would also show a psychology that all these species have inherited.
Yeah, that
when you wage war, you think on a planetary scale. You don't think we think of continents. Or countries. They think on planets.
I think that's where the Geonosians came in and helped build, because they helped build the Death Star. The Geonosians did. I don't remember from. I think it was Attack of the Clones, and then it was
Attack of the Clones.
Yeah, they had that quick scene of Count Dooku holding the Death Star plans like on a disc. But going into reading some of the novels, you actually learn like how the Geonosians are actually helping out building these planet killers, and it's just fascinating.
With these people,
yeah. How does a species get good at building giant weapons? You got to ask yourself how and why.
Yeah.
So I think that goes back to your theory. Maybe they've been like fighting for so long, they've only now know how to develop these giant, planet killing weapons. It's like, I don't know.
It's just mind boggling. Now, of course, we this is us talking about them, but come on. When the humans figured out pointy stick is better than blunt stick,
yeah, that's
they
true.
Use it, and that seems to be a theme with a lot of the Clone Wars and also
bigger and better, man.
Bigger and better. I mean, look at the current theme. You had Starkiller Base,
which was like 10 times the size of like the Death Star. Like,
do not call it Death Star 3.
It's not. It's like Death Star. The Death Star itself was a planetoid battle station built from start to finish. Starkiller Base was a planet turned into a planet killer,
which to me seems more impressive.
Yeah. Oh yeah. How do you core out a planet without actually like collapsing the planet?
Yeah. I mean that to me was kind of cool.
Yeah. Maybe that was Snoke at work, like force pushing everything up. I don't know.
I
don't know. Yeah. He's a very powerful Sith Lord. Anyway, so there's one more spoiler that we can talk about before we can go on to other subjects. It also came across in the same sort of article. There's that the new Super Star Destroyer type ship is going to be nothing like we've seen before, which is really funny when you read the description. All it says is a giant wedge that's dark and has no features. Like that just sounds like every other like Star Destroyer.
It does, except that it's dark and it's like, did you run out of production money? No, it's there, really.
Where?
I can't land. Where are you?
But it has no feature. So when you look at Star Destroyers, they have that superstructure like command deck, and then you have there's a shot. Was it in A New Hope or was it in? I think it was Empire, where you see the Super Star Destroyer.
Huge guy.
Yeah, and it had like that cityscape kind of like in the middle. This one doesn't have any features at all, which is kind of interesting.
I was reading a similar article, and they were given the lengths of these ships.
Yeah, massive.
Like, it was like, well, we can't take out a Star Destroyer. Why? Well, Super Star Destroyer has 280,000 people operating it.
Yeah.
Like, what? That's like, what happened to technology making our lives easier?
Well, they keep making, much like today, they make it bigger and better, and they requires more manpower to. It's like,
just
how is this more
boggling? I mean, I can see the Death Star having a standing operating population like that, but the Super Star Destroyer, and then now they're making something bigger. Now, I will point out one flaw. Now, I know a lot of the theories is that this is Snoke's command ship.
That's a couple of theories floating around.
Now, I would point out to the bad guys, obviously making them big is not working for you.
Look at Starkiller Base, look at the Death Stars. It ain't going to work.
So I would theorize, if I was doing it, that Snoke is in a very small shuttlecraft hovering around, because it's the Mongol trap. The Mongol trap was, for the longest time, people tried to counteract the raids by finding a city they lived in and destroying it.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't have cities. They had mobile bases. And so it was a stalemate. So the Great Khan actually had a city built within a couple of months to draw his enemies in so he could attack them back.
Nice. Well played.
If I was Snoke,
do the same thing.
Look at this big dark wedge. Don't you want to attack it? Don't you want to take it out of the way?
Yep. Yeah, that's a very good. I immediately thought of the Borg cube from Star Trek, how it's just like this ominous cube that kind of just floats everywhere. Although it does have features, I kind of feel like that's what it's going to feel like on screen. It's like this dark, ominous thing coming out of what seems nowhere. But that's just me. But the going back to Snoke's command ship, a thing, small command shuttle thing, that just instantly reminded me of the greased up deaf guy from Family Guy. You're never going to get me.
Well, it's also my theory is that Snoke's actually like 4 inches tall. He's actually the little alien inside of like Men in Black. He has like a suit. And he's like operating these little levers.
The ultimate irony. They've said, oh, Snoke's going to be just giant. Nope. He's about the size of a muskrat.
A bobblehead or something.
Oh, I didn't think about that.
Yeah, just think about it. We saw what Yoda could do.
Yeah.
What if force power is directly proportional to how small you are?
Well, I mean, exponentially so, because if Yoda was small and he had his force powers relative to the size of him, then he wouldn't have very much force powers compared. I know what you mean. But yeah, if Snoke is giant and that'd be an interesting theory. If the bigger you are, the less force power you have.
Yeah. So and after all, it's a hologram.
Yeah, what we saw is a hologram. Now, this came out a couple weeks ago, maybe a month ago. Snoke is actually going to be an actual non-holographic person or creature or whatever he is in episode 8. And instead it's going to be a puppet type thing. It's going to be controlled by 4 people. How?
It worked for Jabba.
True. That's very true. But you think if he's going to stand up, Jabba didn't stand up. He was just, and he was later, he was first was a fat man. And then he was...
Don't bring up those dark days.
And then he was a really horrible rendered slug. And then he was a slightly better rendered slug. And then he had the best that they could do at like 1997 with a tail.
Yeah, fair enough. But
with that being said, obviously today's CG is way better than it was in 1997 or whenever they first remastered the series. But 4 people inside of a costume just seems a little crowded to me. Well, what if you fart?
I'm sure that is a common joke among them.
Yeah. Don't eat beans before you get in the suit, right?
Or especially the sound guy goes, for Pete's sake, come on, guys. We're trying to build feeling here. Who's farting in the suit? We're picking it up on the mics.
Yeah, the guy in the boom mic going, oh, man.
I did not need to hear that. Don't eat at the commissary. I told you.
Craft services is out. No craft services for anybody.
I don't know. I wouldn't really put it past anyone. I mean, for the time, I remember the Dark Crystal being very fantastic.
Yeah, lots of puppets in that one. That's Jim Henson. So
yeah, Jim Henson project. And, of course, I'd look at that now and go, ooh. honestly,
but it's
it
still
aged well.
It fits. That particular puppetry works for that particular film, and I think it will always much like dang it, I was gonna say David Bowie as the Goblin King in Labyrinth. That sort of holds its own because we have such a nostalgia for it. If someone had no idea what that movie was and watched it for the first time, they'd be like, "What is this crap?"
Yeah. Whatever I drank.
Was this a PBS special?
Whatever I drank, I don't need to be drinking anymore. I'm sorry.
Mad Dog 2020 is out.
Yeah. Where's the next AA meeting? Or I'm not ever using that dealer again.
Yeah, nope. Don't get the dealer by the studio. Not a good idea.
Not a good idea. Now I know why they told me not to use him.
Yep. Getting back to Snoke, that was having Snoke's as command ship as that new Super Star Destroyer. I think will help the story. I do like your idea of having him in a little small shuttle shuffling around the galaxy. But having him as his command ship, much like Vader did on his particular Star Destroyer, and the Emperor. Yeah, he had his own Super Star Destroyer, and the Emperor had his Death Star. It's like each main bad guy has their own means of transportation in this galaxy. It seems like you can't be a bad guy until you get your own ship.
Well, it's kind of like you can't be a bad guy without a couple of things. One, a really cool ride. Ship. Check.
Yep.
Theme music.
Check. Imperial March. Yep.
And a lot of people nervous whenever you're around. Check.
Yeah. Until you get those qualities, you're just a subpar annoyance to somebody else in the galaxy.
Yeah.
Have you heard about this guy? Who? No. Oh, he's been terrorizing the village.
So does my dog. So,
exactly.
Okay, so I'm not sure what
he's
you're
just
getting
mildly annoying.
Yeah.
But yeah, it should be fun. Should be a fun thing to watch because I do look forward to seeing him on screen and as a actual person or an actual alien. So we'll see. We'll finally get to see who Snoke or what he looks like for real instead of just a hologram.
Well,
and not 20 feet tall.
Well, yeah, I still have my own humorous idea about it.
A little bit big,
but
it's big.
But not only will it be interesting to see how they pull it off with the 4 controllers and everything, but to also see if the way they make him speak and interact with the characters. That's a good the hand of who he really is.
That's a good point because when he was in that chair, he was just sitting in that chair. And then he had that really low, groggly voice, and you kind of almost couldn't hear what he was saying very often. You're like when he said, "There's been an awakening." You're like, "Was that? Do you have a cold?
Yeah. Do you need a lozenge?
Yeah. The Halls? I mean, do you need something for that throat?" And I know Vader had his respirator because he got all screwed up on Mustafar, and being canon because of the films, you had Palpatine had his own lightning come back to him from Mace Windu, so we all know why their voice changed. But like, what happened to Snoke, or is he just like being stupid with like some kid with a microphone just like screaming into it?
Definitely builds into the small alien theory.
I like that theory. Yeah,
theory.
Yeah.
Don't look at the man behind the curtain. Don't look at the man behind the curtain.
That's Wizard of Oz all over again.
Yeah. It's also a fact when you look at him, it's like, dude, you look like somebody like chewed you up, put you in a washer machine, and threw rocks in with you.
Yeah, the scar in the head and everything. I love like people have taken that and like memed it out, and like there was a huge serious thing going like, oh, who's Snoke? Is he this? Is he this? Oh, this guy has the same scar, or Anakin or Vader had the same scar on his head. It must be Vader. Blah blah blah. Now people are just going bonkers, like putting random crap in, like, oh, Jar Jar Binks is now Snoke because he has long ears, or they'll have like just some random like non-Star Wars related thing going, it's Snoke. See, there's a scar right there, and it has nothing to do with Star Wars at all. You're like, it's funny. I don't know.
It's kind of like going to be something like, well, how did you get that scar, Great Master? Well, I was actually like standing in my bathroom.
Or you could totally pull a Joker, just do it like, you wanna know how I got these scars?
My father was a race car driver. But or he, I was actually going with Doc Brown. It was like, then I slipped and fell and hit my head, and then I had a vision for the whole universe.
That's that. I didn't ever consider having a Doc Brown tie-in to Star Wars.
Yeah. What if I'm sorry. Now I'm going to like in a galaxy far, far away.
DeLorean shows up, then you have like a TARDIS show up, and then you have whatever space time travel machine show. Oh, the American version of the TARDIS. You have Bill and Ted show up. You could.
There was also Star Trek. The Enterprise kept jumping time.
Yeah, that's true too.
Klingon ship.
Well, yeah, I had a merge of that's who Snoke is. Snoke comes out of the Star Trek galaxy.
Oh,
it's Spock. I got nothing.
No, I'm going. The mind reels in horror.
Well, it's like I felt that same way when someone said it was Jar Jar Binks is the Sith Lord. You're like, oh, my head just hurts. Don't say that.
Throw Robot Chicken a comment. That's when I first saw it.
Okay, yeah.
When Palpatine, they actually show what happens to Palpatine when he gets thrown down the shaft.
Ah, yes, I do remember that. That whole Star Wars thing they did with Robot Chicken and even with Family Guy. It's all Seth MacFarlane, but. And Seth MacFarlane and Seth Green.
Seth Green, yeah.
There we go. I almost said Tom Green. That's not right at all.
No.
Different Green entirely.
Yeah, no animals were involved in this.
And no cheese and no bums.
Yeah, hopefully not. So, as for theories of, that's kind of what I was referring to earlier, the magic of letting everyone get it out of their system.
Yeah.
Up until a point where it becomes, you guys are so out there. Either you're not caffeinated enough or you're too caffeinated, or you really need to get out and breathe some fresh air, because these theories are really starting to look like tinfoil hat kind of level.
Yeah. But they're fun to read.
Oh, sure. I obviously have read them to the fact of it's like the grand problem with anyone's theory is that you read them so you can disprove them.
Yep, absolutely.
You have to be able to understand where they're coming from.
And you have to stomach reading in the first place, because you read a tagline and you're like, I don't really want to read this. I really don't. This is crap. And you're like, oh, fine. And you read it. You're like, I knew this is crap.
This is crap. And then you feel jaded and cheated. And then your wife makes fun of you. It's like, what are you doing at 3 a.m?
Reading shit Star Wars comments and theories.
Yeah, it's like your wife would almost rather you be surfing porn than reading the Star Wars stuff.
Do what a normal adult male does. Go look at porn.
Go do something normal. Hit a strip club. Get out of the house.
I need to read the Star Wars book. Stop it.
This is important. This is more important.
It is. I got some other stuff came out right after I made the show notes. Disney and Mattel launched their. This is not really a story. Just more of a thing that happened.
It's related.
Yeah, it's related. So they launched their new packaging for their toys for Force Friday. That's going to happen in September, and people are like flipping their shit because it has Poe Dameron, Rey, and Finn are on the package, and Rey has the iconic blue lightsaber, but her hair is I guess it's cropped in the photo or whatever, so it looks like she has this like sort of mullet thing going on, much like Qui-Gon did. So everyone's like, she's Qui-Gon's daughter. It's like, you're looking into that way too much.
Yeah,
this is just really, subpar Photoshop. Maybe I doubt it, but maybe
I would. I always have mixed feelings when they get into the whole who's the child of who. It's like, this is the universe where nepotism is everything.
Yeah. Well, it's the Skywalker saga. We got to have a Skywalker. Rey's got to be a Skywalker. Kylo's a Skywalker.
Kylo, yeah, technically he's a Skywalker.
Luke
is still out there.
Yeah.
For now,
It's the Skywalker saga. Anyway, I think there was one or two other things that dropped after I made the show notes again, the packaging, and then there were some announcements for Star Wars Celebration that's coming up in April.
Yay!
They've announced some guests. Kathleen Kennedy is going to be there with Ryan Johnson. They're going to be doing the Star Wars Episode 8, The Last Jedi panel with special guests, which usually means the stars of that particular movie: Mark Hamill, Daisy Ridley, Oscar Isaac, and John Boyega. Thank you.
I wonder if they'll have Han Solo there too, the young one.
No, this would be for The Last Jedi, so he won't be on this panel, I wouldn't think.
But the thing is, I haven't gone to a celebration, but I'm just going by with like the Comic-Cons where they'll put in that little trailer tidbit while they're sitting at the panel.
I kind of have a damn good feeling that they're gonna actually show the episode 8 trailer and probably some bonus footage from like back, behind the scenes stuff. I'm waiting for them to announce that Han Solo panel because that's really intriguing. Of course, they were gonna do the episode 8 stuff, but it's all the other little things that go along with Comic Cons or celebrations that you really want to go see, because of course there's all that big mainstream stuff, but you want to learn more about maybe the animation show or new books. But definitely that going back to that Han Solo thing. I'm excited about Celebration. I didn't get to go last year because it was in Europe.
Yeah, kind of a hindrance.
But they streamed it all on the StarWars.com YouTube channel. They had the live stream for their panels and their guests that they had. They had Carrie Fisher and Mark Hamill, and had a bunch of other guests. Peter Mayhew was there.
We'll have to do a viewing party. It was like hang out, like we can make barbecue or
they'll have. So anyone not going to Celebration, just make sure that you watch the whole thing, because I did that last year and I felt like such a nerd. My wife came. I was like, "What are you?" I'm like, "I'm live streaming Celebration." She was like, "Fine."
So it's the sound that only married men know.
Yes.
Because if you're still the guy at home with your parents, they make their own special noises.
Yep.
Your wife has this thing like, "What did I see in you on our wedding day?" It's slowly eroding away every time I come home and find you doing this.
That is exactly true. I was going to say something witty, but nothing came to my mind.
No, it's
there's nothing witty about that. That's 100% true. So
no, it's like my other hobby. I like to clean my house when I have a day off.
Mm-hmm.
I'm so busy that it really wears on me. I thought it'd be really cool to train by wearing my helmet. And it's like,
not a Star Wars helmet, mind you, an actual like full contact jousting helmet.
But I'm sure there's somebody that's done it in their Star Wars helmet just to be relatable.
Oh yeah.
And I thought, well, this is working great. What else could I wear?
You start just putting on stuff. You're like, I'm gonna clean my house as a knight.
Yeah, just for fun. And of course, at the wrong time, my wife comes home and she goes, "I thought you were cleaning the house." I am. You're playing with your toys. It's armor. It's not a toy. It's armor.
That's what that's what I say. My stuff is like, it's not a toy. It's like a collectible, or it's a figurine. It's not toys. Not really toys, but they're toys. They're fancy toys. You can
still brain somebody with those.
Yeah, they're just I've come to realize they're just fancy toys. They're not.
They're very nice.
They're very nice.
Fancy toys.
But going back to Celebration for just 1 second, there was a couple other things. Oh, there's a couple other guests that were going to be there. You have dang it, I forgot.
Yes.
They have other guests coming to Celebration. I'll think of their names in just a second. It's forget it. I don't remember at the top of my head. But there's gonna be three. They announced 3 other guests that are gonna be there signing autographs.
Mm-hmm.
Felicity Jones, who
was Rogue One.
Yep. And they're gonna have. I'm so bad with actors' names. The guy who played Palpatine.
Oh yeah.
And then the original guy who was in the Boba Fett costume those 3 have definitely been announced. They're gonna be signing autographs. More to come, I'm sure.
You see.
I'm bad with actors' names. I'm not
really
a Star
cool.
Wars fan. I think
it's really
names.
cool. Although I do find it kind of weird. It's like I'm not speaking ill of the guy. He's a cultural phenomenon.
Yeah. But
no one knew what he looked like.
And then they go and change his voice.
Yeah, and it's like, what? It's like you remember in episode 1.
Mm-hmm.
Where we actually get to see the first Prime Minister of the Galactic Republic.
Yeah.
He was the body of Darth Vader. The guy with the gray hair.
Okay.
That's why they put him in there. He was actually the guy that was in the suit in the original Star Wars.
I'll have to double check that. I don't think that sounds right, because the guy who was the Chancellor Valorum was his name. The guy who ran the Senate.
Right.
Was not the same character. I don't think.
I could be wrong, but I thought that's why it was a tip to the hat to him, because he always talked about in interviews later, because he played in a lot of British crime movies.
Yes, he was.
he did all the work in the suit, and then, right before they released it, he found out that they had dubbed over his voice with James Earl Jones.
Yeah, that was a funny thing. When they were filming, the original trilogy, that actor was so adamant, it's like, no one can hear my voice. No one can hear my voice. And George Lucas had already had this plan laid out that they were going to go over his voice anyway. And George Lucas said to him, he's like, no, we'll get it in post. We'll do re-recordings. That's cool. Don't worry about it. And then they just cut him out completely. Womp, womp, womp.
Yeah, we'll have to check the name of the actor. But, that's a little bit of legend lore.
Yeah, I have to double check that, because I know the Chancellor's name was Chancellor Valorum. And and then when he left, or it was all Palpatine, took over. He went to the wayside.
Right.
So.
Yeah, I remember when Palpatine
took over.
Was promoted.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. It just stuck in my head. It's like, oh, I recognize him because he also played he played the original General Zod.
Okay.
In Superman 3.
That's right.
See,
okay.
He's the same guy.
That might be the same guy. I can definitely picture his face, and it's definitely the guy who played Vader. I'm so gonna get. I hope we're right.
please comment and help us out on this. This is where you guys giving us feedback, because if
we're wrong, tell us, and we will never mention it again.
If I'm wrong, we will apologize and go, hey, you guys won a prize once we get a prize.
That's right. You can choose any one of our prizes as soon as we get them.
See, one thing I was going to pitch to you, since we are a very family-friendly show, watching the curse words, of course.
Try to.
Yeah, come on. Who are we kidding? It's like a little, like little things about Austin is like, since we do film in Austin and like I said, kind of the center of the universe, Texas, I was going to, like, maybe next time slip you some local brew from one of the breweries.
I'm fine with it. We can set up, like, have a more casual, less, desk, more of a, like, social drinking. No.
Notice. No.
More of a social thing, more than just talking about. We'll just drink some water or some whatever else as we're talking.
Well, maybe we'll do something else with the project. Now you're going to Celebration. I just want to touch on.
I am going to Celebration. I'm going to Celebration for the whole time. And we're gonna stay a little late and just to hang out in Florida, but. We're going there as me. This channel didn't exist before I bought the tickets, but definitely check us out. I'll be around. I may be sporting some Jedi garb, perhaps, and I might be wearing our logo shirts, which you can definitely buy. There'll be a link in the description.
Fantastic. Hopefully, I don't know how busy you are going to be.
I have no idea.
Okay.
I know I'm going to go to the episode 8 panel, and I know I'm going to go to a few after parties with certain costuming groups and certain companies that they're having. So definitely going to go check those out.
Cool. Sounds like you'll have a great time. So
okay, go ahead.
No, I was just saying, it sounds like you're going to have a great time in the future. Maybe I would go to something like that to capture some video. Just for me, my schedule is crazy.
Yeah. I knew about Celebration before we started the show.
Yeah.
And I knew I was going before I started the show, or we started the show, because we sat down and we talked about doing this, so it was definitely our show. But I'll be doing live podcasting there. Probably not live. It'll be pre-recorded, but it'll be up every day I'm there. Mm-hmm. So when I get back to the hotel, if I can find time outside of the hotel, I'll do that. I did apply for a live the live podcasters table. So this year and a couple of, I think last year or some of the other celebrations, they set up a stage just for podcasters to do live shows during Celebration. I did apply. Granted, we don't have hardly any views or any followers, really. We need more. Subscribe. Leave comments and like us, please. If I do get selected, I will do a live show. It'll be me and probably, if I can get one other person, if I meet someone there, it'll be a random guest. No, it won't. Probably just be me at Celebration. So that'll be fun. It'll be going up the day of as we're doing it. So that'll be very interesting. Good way to celebrate Celebration.
Celebrate Celebration. Well, definitely in the future, I would like to go just on the grounds of I could set up the booth and you could have a little more interactive fun. I mean, because you're going to definitely be working manning the booth.
Well, that's the cool thing about the podcasters booth is only for, like, you only get a certain slot. So then you pack in and pack out. So I'm gonna take some of my light equipment, my small mic, and my computer, and go. That's the way. That way I won't have this whole production set up. So it'd be a little nicer that way.
Yeah, I was wondering how they were all. I'm sure this is a popular slot. They're trying to.
Well, yeah, it was popular, and then they didn't have it. I think they brought it back, and if they have extra slots to fill multiple, you as a podcaster, you can have multiple times throughout the day if there's spots available. I'm hoping I just get one, and I don't care what day it is, as long as it's there and I can do it, and I can say I did a live show at Celebration. That'd be really good for business.
This
really
is DeathStryke Media. It's 3:35 in the morning, and it's
and there's nobody here. In fact, I'm not even supposed to be here.
I don't know. I have a feeling there will
that
still
whole
be
clerks
people.
Thing.
Yeah.
Are you supposed to be here today? Don't even.
No, don't even. I have a feeling I've only gone to the Comic Cons or Anime Fest, so I'm not sure how things happen.
I have no idea.
See, I'm looking at it as would be a brand new experience for me.
Yeah.
Really something like that. Of course, anime conventions and comic conventions have their own special type of people.
But it doesn't mean we can't cater to some other things for some particular shows.
Oh, no, that's not what I'm getting at. Is that's why I'd be curious if there are still people up at 3 a.m. because
we all know that if you've ever been to an anime convention, they're all night long. They're all day long. They don't stop. The same people you saw when you arrive on Friday, they're still going to be up on Sunday. They don't sleep. Speaking of, let's try to do a live. I know Acon's coming up, or the anime convention. It's going to be in Fort Worth. Mm-hmm. Let's try to do a live show there, or at least a show there, not to be live, at that particular event, just to say we've done it. Maybe we'll cater it toward the actual con. Maybe we can get the con involved. That'd be kind of fun.
That'd be very.
Please subscribe and like us. It really does help us, so we can do that.
And leave comments. That also helps now.
Yes,
definitely. Hey, if anything, we
comment and like, or dislike. I don't care.
Log off, log back on. Log off, log back on. Watch the video all the way through.
Wax on, wax off. Wax on, wax off.
No, we really appreciate it. We're the classic startup guys here, and we know that there are a lot of other shows out there, but we want to bring you guys along. That's kind of the whole fun here.
Yeah,
really,
and that's
we get to do something like that.
And that's what's kind of what's great about Star Wars, that it's all encompassing. Everybody who is involved, and they all want to contribute to the lore, to the universe, to everything that is Star Wars. Mm-hmm. And that's really the heart of the show, is to make sure that we not say do our part. That's the wrong way of saying it. We want to enjoy and appreciate and help others enjoy and appreciate Star Wars.
Yeah, very much so. It's kind of like the aspect of to really look at something with fresh eyes and enjoy it, because quite frankly, there are generations now that have grown up that there's always been a Star Wars.
Yeah.
And, for me to come back to it, like I said, I was an ardent Star Wars fan and kind of drifted away, as aged out, as I call it, and come back to it and really enjoying a chance to revisit a lot of old friends. Mm-hmm. It's kind of like picking up an old novel, or like I still read Lord of the Rings once a year. It's kind of my own personal tradition.
It's a good book. Check it out.
Yeah, you may have heard of it. But it's really fun on that aspect, and to not get jaded or burned out on it, because there's such fan interaction. Yeah,
and that's what I love about Star Wars so much, that every time something new comes out, there's such hype. There's such love for any of the things, especially if you're like a super sweaty nerd on this stuff. Like, even when the novels come out, they're like such like this need to go buy it and read it immediately. And then you have the casual fan, as soon as a new movie comes out, like, that's Star Wars! And who have no idea about the other canon, but the fact that they love the film so much really does shine through the, who the fans are, and
right.
why not only we as a new channel started, but why the bigger ones do it as well, and they keep doing it.
Yeah, so really do embrace that. This is something that a lot of people have great feelings about and great memories about. Like for me, great memories. It's like, for me, I look at a lot of the films as very much time period pieces, like, Empire. That was during the, the Cold War. Very much so. Yeah. Yeah, and Jedi, still part of the Cold War.
Yeah. Well, that kind of.
At the end of the Cold War, where everything was breaking up.
Yeah, that was in the 80s. So,
89 is when the wall came down.
Okay, yeah. So, it was, right there at the end.
So, still a lot of uncertainty, but it was optimism. I mean, the early 90s was just dripping with optimism.
Yep.
Not only reflected in films and stories, but just general mood.
Yep.
And you can't get much more depressed than, like the clothes that people wore in the 80s. I know. Or the mullets.
I miss the 80s fashion because I was a wee lad. But there was that craze a couple, 10 years ago. It was like everything was bringing back 80s stuff. Maybe it was like 5 years ago. My God, I'm glad I missed that.
Yeah, the parachute pants returning is like they weren't a good idea the first time.
They're made of nylon and they catch on fire.
They weren't a good idea the second time. And mullets have never been a good idea.
No, never, ever. Even in a galaxy far, far away. Not a good idea. Well, I think that's all the topics I've got. Is that all the topics you've got?
Yeah, I believe so. I think we've covered a lot today.
I think so. Well, again, we've said it 1,000 times. We'll say it 1,000 more times. Please like, subscribe, comment, dislike, write us an Instagram, whatever you got to do to make us feel like, we're doing a good job or not.
Tell us how we can improve.
Or, yeah, there's always that. Oh, my name is James Waddington. This is Sean Sharp, and we'll see you guys next time. Take care.